Hello Year 1 and Year 2, it's Tuesday the 16th of June today, and we're going to carry on with our sentence stacking because we're doing so well with writing that story about Piper, and I've really enjoyed sharing my thoughts with you and sharing how I write, and it's really showing through in your writing. You're making great decisions about vocabulary and you're really thinking about which word is more interesting, which adjective or which verb are you going to use to make your writing the most interesting. Well done everybody. Let's have a look at what we've done so far. Okay, so you can see that we've done 5 chunks of our writing now. We are over halfway, children. Well done. It's now time to look at plot point 6. This is the part where Piper is under the sea. It's exciting. So this part is quite a short part of the video. It's from 1 minute 58 seconds to 2 minutes and 10 seconds. So why don't you pause this video here and go and watch the film from this time to this time, it's this part of the film, and have a look and remind yourself what happens. I'm going to do the same now. See you in a minute. Okay, so if you remember in that part of the story, Piper saw that wave, that last wave coming towards him, and he sort of burrowed back into the sand, really frightened, and then in the end, he really enjoyed being under the water, didn't he? Yeah, so today we're going to try and get that across in our writing, those 2 different emotions. Okay, first the fear and then the enjoyment. And we're going to do that through using our 2 challenges today. First of all, we're going to see if we can think about some touch words. How did that feel on Piper's body? Maybe ruffling through his feathers, the water. How did the water feel against his beak? How did it feel? How did the sand feel on his tummy? All those sorts of touch words so that we can give the reader a really good idea about how Piper was experiencing being under the sea. And we're also going to see if we can use one of these words, because, when, if or that, so that we can join some clauses together, 2 different parts of our sentence, to create a longer and more interesting sentence in our writing. Okay? So as usual, if you don't know what this word means, subordination, that's not to worry. We'll have a look together and it will soon become clear and you'll soon feel better. Okay? Okay, so I always think, children, that it's a good idea to read what you've already written so that you know that your writing is going to sound right when you put it all together. Okay, so this is the section that I wrote yesterday. I'm just going to read it to you to remind us what it sounds like, and then our next section will sort of follow on from that, will be stacked underneath so that they sort of work together when you read the whole thing. Okay, so they're not 2 different pieces of writing, they're going to be stacked on top to make one story, aren't they? So let me read yesterday's chunk to you. At that moment, a crab was burrowing about in the pale golden sand. Piper was perplexed. What was he doing? Piper thought to himself. He watched on intently and spied the crab plucking a clam from beneath the sand. ... So something, this ellipsis here is telling me that something is about to happen. So children, that ellipsis was quite dramatic, wasn't it? We want to keep that drama going in our writing. So as usual, I'm just going to get my ideas down on the paper. And I remember that Piper saw, we could say just then, because it happened sort of out of the blue, or unexpectedly, or out of the blue, a colossal, I'm being so adventurous with my adjectives today. A colossal, that means big. A colossal wave came. We've had charging, hadn't we? Came. What could we have? Came. I'm going to do my sort of mind mapping, my brainstorming up here, and then I'm going to choose my word like I normally do. Came buffeting. That sort of like really charging. Buffeting. Buffeting came. Charging came. Whooshing. came sliding. What do we think? I like whooshing. Do you? Came whooshing towards the tiny little bird. So that sort of sounds as though Piper's a bit tiny and a bit helpless, doesn't it? Which is what I wanted. Out of the blue, a colossal wave came whooshing towards the tiny little bird. What did he do when he saw that wave? He desperately, Piper began burrowing into the sand in desperation. Now here's where we're going to have our feeling words. I want to talk about how the sand felt against his body, feeling the grains rub roughly against his legs and feet. Let's see how that sounds. Out of the blue, a colossal wave came whooshing towards the tiny little bird. Piper began burrowing into the sand in desperation, feeling the grains rub roughly against his legs and feet. What about some different words for rub? Brush, we could have brush, roughly. Or feeling the grains rough against. I like that, feeling the grains rough against his legs and feet. So there we are, I've got a touch word. Those grains are rough. How else could they be? Feeling the grains rough and what about scratchy? Feeling the grains rough and scratchy against his legs and feet. Quite like that, because it sounds as though at first those grains of sand are really quite uncomfortable, aren't they? He's not enjoying it at all. No. Okay, so what happens next? After that, the wave comes over him, doesn't he? Helpless to stop it, Piper felt the full force of the wave crash down upon his feeble frame. That's like his body. Helpless to stop it, Piper felt the full force of the wave crash down upon his feeble frame. So there we are, we've got some more feeling words, haven't we? We've got full force, and he felt it crash, didn't he? Crash down upon his feeble frame, or crush his feeble frame. Crash down upon his feeble frame. I like that. What happened next? He looked up, didn't he? Yeah. So let's have a think about this one then. He looked up. I'm going to use the word when, I think. Oh dear. I'm going to try and use the word when to start this sentence and subordinate my clauses, stick them together. So I'm going to have when he we could have Piper he was frightened. He was frightened. When he peeped, when he looked up though, Piper, his fear slipped gently away. Why did it slip away? He wasn't feeling fearful anymore because all around him was wonderful sights, weren't there? He was frightened. When he looked up though, his fear slipped gently away as Piper was gobsmacked by the amazing scene around him. He's really amazed by everything that's around him, isn't he? What did he feel? He felt the water. What did the water feel like? It could bubble, couldn't it? Let's have a think about some words, some feeling words about the water. The water could bubble. It could stroke his body, couldn't it? The water could lap against his body. It could wash over him. I think it might tickle as well. I'm going to write, he felt the water bubble around him, tickling his tummy and tickling his tummy. Okay, I'm going to read my work back now and just check that I've got some touch words and some subordination. I've chosen to use the word when. Okay, let's read it together. Out of the blue, a colossal wave came whooshing towards the tiny little bird. Piper began burrowing into the sand in desperation, feeling the grains rough and scratchy against his legs and feet. Helpless to stop it, Piper felt the full force of the wave crash down upon his feeble frame. He was frightened. When he looked up, though, his fear slipped gently away as Piper was gobsmacked by the amazing scene around him. He felt the water bubble around him, tickling his tummy. Now I like it, but I've spotted that I've said around him here and around him here. So I can't really have them both because that would be repeating and it would get a bit boring. By the amazing scene, why don't I say by the amazing underwater scene? He felt the water bubble around him, tickling his tummy! Exclamation mark. That sounds a bit better, a little bit more varied and different. Okay, so let's remind ourselves of our two writing challenges for today. Touch words like rough and scratchy, full force and crash. We've also got the words bubble and tickling, haven't we? We've even got the word slip. That's kind of like a feeling word. You can slip, it's quite slippy. I like that one as well. And then we've also had to use subordination. And you can see that I've used when here. When he looked up, his fear slipped away. Okay, so why don't you have a go at writing your chunk number 6 using our two writing challenges, and then take a picture to show your adult on Class Dojo. See you later.